Welcome to Teolumen Insights, where we reveal the hidden forces that shape the way you live and show you how to use them to create real transformation and supercharge your health, mindset, and daily life. Here are your hosts, Emma Greenwood and Nathan Sinclaire.
Welcome back to Teolumen Insights. Today we're diving into the world of Robert Pavlita, a Czech inventor who claimed to have built machines that could harness and manipulate a form of energy unknown to conventional science. Psychotronic energy.
Psychotronic energy. This is fascinating stuff.
So to set the stage a little bit,
Okay.
imagine a world where seemingly impossible things are happening.
Okay.
Polluted water is purified without chemicals. Objects move without physical contact.
Right.
And machines seem to possess psychic abilities.
Whoa.
This is the world that Pavlita opened up
Okay.
with his psychotronic generators.
So who was this guy? Like, what's his background?
Well, he was a Czech inventor and businessman who dedicated over 30 years to this research.
Wow. 30 years.
Starting way back in the 1940s.
Huh. That's even before, like, the whole, like, New Age boom and stuff.
Right. And he wasn't a scientist in the traditional sense.
Okay.
He was an inventor. Businessman.
Uh-huh.
And his work really blurred the lines between science and art.
I didn't see that.
His devices, these psychotronic generators, often resembled sculptures,
Oh, wow.
drawing comparisons to artists
Oh, interesting.
like Brancusi and Dali.
Wow. So they were, like, functional art pieces in a way.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. So how did they actually work? Like, what were they made of?
Well, they were typically constructed from various metals like steel, bronze, copper, even gold.
Oh, wow. Gold.
Yeah,
Fan.
often arranged in these very specific geometric shapes.
Okay. So it wasn't just, like, random pieces of metal. There was, like, a design to it.
Right, there was a method to the madness.
Interesting.
Pavlita believed that these shapes and forms in general had specific wavefronts associated with them, which could be manipulated with this psychotronic energy.
Okay, so that's where the psychotronic energy comes in.
But what exactly is psychotronic energy? Like, where does it come from?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Pavlita believed it was a form of energy
Okay.
emitted by all living things, what he called biological energy.
Okay, so like a life force kind of thing?
You could say that.
Interesting.
He saw it as potentially similar to concepts like prana or vital energy.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of those, like from Eastern traditions and stuff.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And he claimed that his generators could capture, store, and then use this energy to do some pretty remarkable things.
Okay, like what kind of things? Give me an example.
Things like influencing biological processes, purifying water,
What? Really?
even potentially communicating telepathically.
Telepathically.
Exactly.
Okay, hold on. Now, this is starting to sound a little like science fiction.
It does sound like science fiction.
Yeah.
But there are accounts
Okay.
from scientists and military personnel. Oh, wow, military too.
In Czechoslovakia,
Oh,
who observed these devices firsthand
Okay.
and documented unusual effects.
So it wasn't just Pavlita himself saying this stuff. Other people saw it too.
There were other witnesses.
That's interesting.
They even subjected Pavlita to rigorous testing
Okay.
for 2 years,
Wow, two.
trying to debunk his claims.
And what did they find?
Well, one experiment involved a copper strip
Okay.
inside a sealed, magnetically shielded box.
Okay, so like a Faraday cage.
Exactly.
Right.
Pavlita claimed he could influence the strip's rotation, stopping it,
Wait, so he's saying he could control this copper strip with his mind?
and even reversing its direction,
What?
simply by concentrating on it.
No way.
That's what he claimed.
So he just stared at it and it changed direction.
That's what puzzled the researchers observing him.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Conventional physics couldn't explain it,
Yeah, that doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard of.
and it gets even more interesting.
More interesting. Yeah. Make it more interesting than that.
Pavlita claimed to have built a telepathy machine,
A telepathy machine.
a generator that used a rotating pointer
Okay.
to accurately identify ESP cards
Wait, what?
being viewed by someone in another room,
Hold on. He's saying he built a machine that could read minds.
consistently achieving perfect scores on tests
a telepathy machine.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
Yeah, that's way beyond controlling a copper strip.
How did it supposedly work?
Yeah, like what was the setup?
It involved a rotating pointer,
Okay.
a generator, and a circle of ESP cards placed beneath it.
Okay, so like a classic ESP test.
Right. Someone in another room would focus on each card in turn.
Yeah.
And the pointer on the generator would supposedly swing to the corresponding card.
Get out of here.
With perfect accuracy.
So it's like the machine was picking up on the person's thoughts and translating them into physical movement.
That's the basic idea.
That's wild.
And it wasn't just limited to cards.
Really?
They reportedly used objects like fruits, vegetables, even blood samples.
Blood sample.
And the pointer would still accurately identify the target object.
So it wasn't just like some trick with the cards.
Right. This suggested a level of specificity that went far beyond random chance.
Okay, so if these generators were interacting with thoughts and biological processes, what did Pavlita believe was happening on a deeper level?
Well, that's where his model of man comes in.
Model of man? What's that?
He proposed that human beings aren't just physical and psychological beings.
Okay, so there's more to us than just our bodies and minds.
But also have a psychotronic or parapsychic dimension.
So like a spiritual dimension or something.
He believed this was the source of phenomena like telepathy, psychokinesis, and what he called primary perception.
Primary perception.
A kind of fundamental awareness present in all living things.
Okay, so he's saying this dimension is what allows us to do these, like, paranormal things.
You could say that.
That's a pretty radical idea.
It is.
So was he suggesting that these generators were somehow amplifying or focusing our inherent capacity for this primary perception?
That's one interpretation of his work.
So, like, we all have this ability, but the generators just make it stronger.
He also explored the concept of biocommunication.
Biocommunicate.
The idea that biological systems could exchange information in ways we don't fully understand.
Like some kind of secret language between living things.
He even proposed the existence of bioinfo.
Bioinfo, okay.
Kind of biological information field. And bioenergetics.
Bioenergetics.
A study of the energy flows within living organisms.
So he was basically creating a whole new framework for understanding life and energy?
You could say that.
Wow, this is getting pretty complex.
It's a lot to take in.
Were there any practical applications he envisioned for these concepts?
He believed psychotronics had vast potential in fields like medicine, agriculture, even communication.
So not just theoretical stuff, he thought this could actually be used to do things.
Right.
That's interesting.
For instance, he suggested that psychotronic devices could be used to treat injuries, boost the immune system, enhance plant growth.
Wow, that's a lot of potential applications.
And even facilitate telepathic communication.
Telepathic communication again. So he really believed in that, huh?
Those are some pretty bold claims.
Yeah, they are.
But what about the science behind it all?
Right, like how did he explain how these generators actually worked?
That's where things get even more intriguing.
More intriguing. Okay, I'm hooked.
Pavlita, along with other Czech researchers, explored several concepts that challenged conventional scientific thinking.
Like what kind of concepts?
One was the idea of mental time.
Mental time?
Suggesting that time in the realm of mental processes might have different properties than time in the physical world.
So like time moves differently in our minds.
Different properties.
Yeah, like how so?
Well, they proposed that there might be particles involved in mental processes that can travel faster than the speed of light.
Faster than light.
Particles they call tachyons.
Tachyons, okay.
As opposed to Tardyons.
Tardyons.
Which are particles that travel slower than light.
So like regular matter, that's all Tardyons.
Right.
And these tachyons, they're like super fast particles in our minds.
They also explored the concept of quantum Mentiodynamics.
Quantum Mentiodynamics.
Suggesting that quantum mechanics might play a role in mental phenomena.
So they were basically saying that our minds work on a quantum level.
They were trying to develop new models and measurement techniques to understand these subtle energies and processes.
So like a whole new science of the mind.
Pavlita even delved into inferential measurement and complex systems modeling.
Inferential measurement and complex systems modeling.
Trying to find ways to measure and model these phenomena that couldn't be detected by conventional instruments.
So he was really pushing the boundaries of what we can measure and understand.
He was a pioneer.
Did they have any specific theories about the mechanisms involved? Like, how did they think these generators were actually interacting with these energies?
They explored several intriguing concepts.
Okay, like what?
Including Spinor Emission.
Spinor Emission, okay.
The idea that living organisms might emit a type of energy associated with spin, a fundamental property of subatomic particles.
So, like, our bodies are emitting some kind of energy that has to do with spin.
They also looked into the electric double layer.
Electric double
layer? A phenomenon that occurs at the interface between two different materials, believing it could play a role in the generation and manipulation of psychotronic energy.
Interesting.
It sounds like they were casting a wide net.
Yeah, it sounds like they were exploring all sorts of possibilities.
Exploring various avenues to try to understand this energy.
Well, it's definitely a fascinating area of research, even if it's still pretty mysterious.
Absolutely.
But before we dive any deeper into these theories, I think it's important to take a step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
What were some of the broader implications of Pavlita's work, both positive and potentially negative?
That's a great question, and one that we'll definitely delve into.
We'll delve into those implications in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so let's pick up where we left off.
Right, the implications.
Yeah, what were some of the potential benefits that Pavlita saw for psychotronics?
Well, he believed this technology could revolutionize various fields, from medicine and agriculture to even how we communicate.
So let's start with medicine.
Okay.
What were some of his ideas in that area?
Pavlita was particularly interested in the potential of psychotronic energy to influence biological processes.
Okay.
He believed that these devices could be used to treat a wide range of ailments, from physical injuries to mental disorders.
Wow.
Imagine being able to stimulate healing, boost the immune system, or even address mental health conditions using this subtle energy.
A non-invasive, drug-free approach to healing.
Exactly.
It sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it?
But what about the potential risks? Could this energy be misused?
That's a question that always loomed over Pavlita's work. While he was a firm believer in the positive potential of psychotronics, he also acknowledged the possibility of misuse.
Sure.
If this energy can influence biological processes, could it also be used to manipulate or control people?
Right.
It's a concern that's hard to ignore.
If someone could control your thoughts or emotions using this technology, that would be a serious violation of individual freedom.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
It is.
It has the potential for great good.
Yes.
But also for great harm.
And that's why it's so important to have open discussions about the ethical implications of any technology that interacts with human consciousness or biology.
We need to proceed with caution.
We do.
Okay, let's move on to another area where Pavlita saw potential. Agriculture.
Right.
How did he think psychotronics could impact food production?
Well, he believed that psychotronic energy could be used to enhance plant growth.
Okay.
And increase crop yields.
Interesting.
Imagine being able to stimulate seed germination.
Right.
Improve nutrient uptake. Or even protect plants from pests and diseases.
Wow.
All using the subtle energy.
That aligns with the idea of bioinfo and bioenergetics that you mentioned earlier. This idea that there's a subtle energy flow within living organisms that can be influenced.
And Pavlita believed that psychotronic devices could tap into and manipulate those energy flows,
leading to potentially remarkable results in agriculture, medicine, and other fields.
It's a fascinating possibility.
Okay, let's talk about communication.
Okay.
Pavlita claimed to have built a telepathy machine.
Right.
Suggesting the possibility of direct mind-to-mind communication.
Yeah.
How did he envision this technology being used?
Pavlita believed that psychotronic communication could transcend the limitations of language and distance.
So like a universal language.
Imagine being able to share thoughts, feelings, and ideas directly with another person, regardless of their location or language.
It would change everything.
It would revolutionize human connection and understanding.
But is there any scientific basis for this idea of biocommunication?
It's definitely a concept that challenges conventional scientific understanding.
Right.
However, Pavlita drew inspiration from various sources.
Okay. Including research on the regressive nature of telepathy.
Regressive nature of telepathy.
This idea suggested that telepathic abilities might be a more primal form of communication that humans have largely lost touch with as we've evolved.
So he was suggesting that we might have latent telepathic abilities that could be awakened or enhanced.
Potentially.
Using psychotronic technology.
That's one interpretation of his work.
He also explored the concept of a metaetheric environment.
Metaetheric environment.
A hypothetical realm beyond the physical world.
Okay.
That might interact with our consciousness.
Yeah.
And facilitate psychic phenomena.
So like a hidden dimension or something.
It's a pretty esoteric concept.
It is.
But it's intriguing to think that there might be more to reality than what we can perceive with our five senses.
And Pavlita wasn't afraid to explore unconventional ideas.
Right.
And challenge the boundaries of scientific inquiry.
Okay, let's shift gears for a moment.
And talk about some of the more controversial aspects of Pavlita's work, like the concept of cyborg aspects.
Cyborg aspects.
What did he mean by that?
Pavlita was fascinated by the potential for integrating human consciousness with technology.
Interesting.
He envisioned a future where psychotronic devices could enhance our abilities and connect us in unprecedented ways.
So like a merging of human and machine?
In a sense, yes. He saw this integration as a natural progression of human evolution.
Interesting.
A way to expand our potential and explore new frontiers of consciousness.
But it also raises questions about what it means to be human.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And the potential risks of blurring those lines between biology and technology.
That's a debate that's ongoing even today.
It is.
With all the advances in AI and biotechnology, it's something we need to think carefully about.
Okay. Another area where Pavlita's work challenged conventional thinking was the concept of subliminal perception.
Subliminal perception.
How did this relate to his research?
Pavlita was interested in how information could be processed unconsciously and how this might relate to psychic phenomena.
Interesting.
He believed that subliminal perception could be a key to understanding how we receive and transmit information through channels beyond our five senses.
So he was suggesting that there might be hidden levels of awareness and communication happening beneath the surface of our conscious mind.
Exactly.
And he believed that psychotronic devices could tap into these subliminal channels,
potentially influencing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the potential benefits of psychotronics to the ethical concerns and the more esoteric aspects of Pavlita's work.
It's a fascinating and complex subject. But before we delve into the scientific evidence and experiments, I'd like to bring in your personal experience.
Okay.
You actually got to handle some of Pavlita's devices, right?
I did.
How was that like?
It was a truly unique experience. These weren't just clunky machines. Many were beautifully crafted.
Really?
Almost like sculptures.
So like works of art as well as scientific instruments.
They had a weight to them. A presence that felt almost alive.
Alive! That's an interesting way to describe it.
Did you feel anything unusual when you were holding them?
I did. There was a definite sense of energy, a subtle tingling or vibration.
Really?
It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything I'd ever experienced before.
That's fascinating. It aligns with the idea that these devices were interacting with some kind of subtle energy field.
Right, as Pavlita claimed.
Did you get to see any of the devices in action?
I did.
What did you see?
One experiment that stood out involved a simple wooden stick that had been charged by one of the generators. It was able to pick up small objects without any adhesive or friction.
So, like, it was magnetic.
Seemingly defying gravity.
Wow.
That was ruled out.
What could explain that? Static electricity.
That was ruled out as well. The researchers believed it was the effect of this psychotronic energy imbuing the stick with some kind of invisible force.
That's incredible.
And what's even more intriguing is that the stick's effectiveness reportedly varied.
Really?
Depending on the person using it and their level of fatigue.
So it's like the human operator was somehow influencing the energy flow.
That's what the researcher suggested.
That's wild. It points to the idea that human intention and energy might play a crucial role in accessing and directing the psychotronic force.
It's a fascinating possibility.
All of this is incredibly intriguing.
It is.
But it also raises many questions.
Of course.
What kind of evidence did Pavlita have to support his claims?
Yeah, that's a key question.
Did other scientists try to replicate his experiments?
Right. And how was his work received by the scientific community? Those are all great questions.
And we'll delve into the evidence, the experiments, and the controversies surrounding Pavlita's work right now.
All right, let's get into it.
So what kind of experiments did Pavlita actually conduct?
Well, one of his most well-known experiments involves snails.
Snails?
Yeah, he exposed these snails to the energy emitted from one of his generators and observed that they entered a state resembling hibernation.
Hibernation.
Much like they would during extreme cold or drought.
Interesting.
Even though the environmental conditions were normal.
So he's saying this psychotronic energy could actually put the snails to sleep.
That's what he observed.
Wow, so this energy could influence biological processes?
That was his claim.
What other experiments did he conduct?
Another striking experiment involved flies. When placed within the field of a specific generator. Flies would die almost instantly.
Oh, wow.
This raised questions about the potential power of this energy.
Right.
Not just for influencing life, but also for potentially causing harm.
So, like a potential weapon?
That was a concern.
Yeah, I can see why people would be worried about that.
Definitely.
What about his claims of water purification?
The water purification experiment was particularly fascinating. Pavlita used one of his generators to treat polluted water from a textile factory. And within just 12 hours, the water became clear.
Wow.
And the pollutants seemingly crystallized and settled at the bottom of the container.
So it actually cleaned the water.
But what's even more remarkable is that independent lab analysis showed that the water's molecular structure had actually changed.
Wait, so it wasn't just a physical separation of the pollutants, it actually changed the water itself.
That's what the analysis indicated.
That's incredible. But what about his most controversial claim, the telepathy machine?
Right.
Did he conduct any experiments with that?
He did. And the results, if true, are remarkable.
What were the results?
He claimed to have achieved a perfect score.
A perfect score?
On every test.
Wow.
With the pointer on his generator accurately identifying the ESP cards being viewed by a sender in another room.
That's hard to believe. What do skeptics say about all this?
Well, there's definitely been a lot of skepticism about Pavlita's work. Critics point to the lack of detailed documentation of his experiments, the difficulty in replicating his results, and the absence of a clear theoretical framework that fits within our current understanding of physics.
So there's no widely accepted scientific explanation for how these psychotronic generators supposedly worked?
Not yet.
What do you think, based on your research?
Pavlita's work is definitely intriguing. It challenges us to consider the possibility that there might be more to reality than what we currently understand.
But it's important to be skeptical, right?
Absolutely.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Exactly.
And until we have that evidence, the mystery of Robert Pavlita and his psychotronic generators will likely remain just that. A mystery.
Well said.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into a truly enigmatic subject.
I agree.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Robert Pavlita.
Of course.
And his psychotronic generators.
It's been a pleasure.
This Teolumen Insights, signing off.